I'm going to stop the transcription. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to PKI Digital Signatures course. My name is Diane Broadbent. Gary Holman and I will be your trainers today. Before we start, let's cover a few ground rules. I will be muting everyone during the training, so if you have a question, you can enter it in the chat or raise your hand. If you raise your hand, please unmute yourself when you ask the question. So I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone now. You may already be muted, but now you will all be muted. Now I will share today's training agenda. So first, Gary is going to share an overview of digital signatures and the PKI digital signatures internal process that we are using that is replacing DocuSign. I will talk about how you can verify your ODOT sub CAV1 certificate in your browser. I will teach you about creating PDF signature images in Adobe Pro and how to create signature appearances in Adobe. And then I will show you how to sign PDF files in Adobe and validate your signature. And then if you need to add signature fields in an Adobe form, a lot of forms have already signature fields in them, but if you need to add them, I will show you how to add signature fields in Adobe. Gary will show you how to digitally seal in Adobe and how to create signature images for Bluebeam, for those Bluebeam users, how to create your signature appearances in Bluebeam, how to sign PDF files in Bluebeam and validate your signature, how to create signature fields in Bluebeam, and how to digitally seal in Bluebeam. Then Gary will talk about how to use ProjectWise Explorer, and many CAD users use ProjectWise Explorer, but other users might have it as well. Gary will share how to sign files in ProjectWise. I will share how to create an image of your signature for Microsoft Office and how to sign Microsoft Office files and validate your signature. And then we will take questions. So I'm handing it over to Gary where he can talk about digital signatures and give you an overview.
Good afternoon. So this project might be a little confusing for some. We call it the PKI ODOT digital signature project. But we're not saying, or we're not telling people that DocuSign was also PKI. A lot of the signature technology out there that we could, or that we possibly could use, but we don't need to now, is PKI based. That's public key infrastructure. Other people refer to it as public-private key infrastructure. And it's basically just a way to affirm that a file hasn't changed since the time that signature was applied, and that the signer is who they say they are. So, and with that, I will hand it back to you.
Thank you, Gary. Now, the first thing I'm going to share is going to be the digital signatures internal SharePoint site. You can see that now. And I'm going to place a link to that site in the chat. So you want to bookmark that site. In this site, we have the user guide that you can access, and also a digitally signed image that you can also download and save to your local drive. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to the current user guide this user guide is just slightly older and it will be updated soon, but I'm going to go ahead and put a link to our most current user guide in the chat. So give me just a moment as I do that. We just had a few updates to it. It's coming your way in just a moment. So you should now see it in the chat. So one of the things that a lot of people in our class ask about is, can I follow what you're talking about in training? So if you open up the user guide that I just put in the chat, you can do that. You can follow along. And the first thing I will be talking about here is how to verify your PKI certificate. Okay, so let me get to that now. Starting with Microsoft Edge. If you are a Microsoft Edge user, then the way you verify your PKI certificate is you go to the three dots in the right corner of the page. It says Settings and More. Click on that and select Settings. And then go to the left side of your page and select Privacy, Search, and Services. And scroll down until you get to Security and select Manage Certificates. So you'll see this pop-up display. You should have 2 ODOT Sub-CA V1 certificates. If you don't, then you'll want to let us know about that. If you don't have them, then you can email us in this email right here, ODOT Digital Signatures, and we will set you up. Okay. So this ODOT signing CA is the DocuSign certificate, and tonight, July 12th, an uninstall program will be running to take DocuSign off your computers, so you will not see that certificate anymore. So you will use ODOT Sub-CA V1. Why do we have 2? One is for authentication and one is for signing. So now if you are a Chrome user, going over to Chrome, you want to go to the top right corner of your page, the 3 dots, and select Customize and Control Google Chrome. Click it. Click Settings. And go over to the left side of your page and click Privacy and Security. And then Security. Scroll down until you see Manage Device Certificates, and then click that. The same pop-up will display, and you can see certificates, ODOT Sub-CA V1, and that is the one you're going to be using for signing engineering documents. Okay, so now I would like to share how to create PDF signature images in Adobe Pro. Let me know in the chat if any of you just have Adobe Reader. If you do, then I can give you instructions for that. So for the new PKI digital signatures solution that we're having in place now, you have to create a PDF image of your signatures. When you used DocuSign, DocuSign allowed you to create graphical signatures and then allowed you to create appearances by using that tool. But now you're doing it manually. So you must create PDF images of your signatures. And we do provide the digitally signed image one. So make sure you click on that For those that sign a seal, a professional seal, go ahead and save that digitally signed image to your local drive. So what you want to do to create an image of your signature is to open Adobe Acrobat Pro. And we have one person here, Steve, who doesn't have Pro. That's okay. I will go over that with you. But if you are an engineer that signs a seal, then you'll want to definitely get your digitally signed image that is provided for you on that website, because you need Adobe Acrobat Pro to make your signature image. But if you don't, but you can still sign if you just have Adobe Reader. And also you could get Bluebeam if you need it. And Gary will talk about Bluebeam later in our training. So if you have Adobe Acrobat Pro, you want to create a PDF file. And by doing that, go into Tools and click Create PDF. Now, since we are giving you a digitally signed image, I will skip this part and go down to creating your signature image. And this is what the digitally signed PDF image looks like when you get it from that Digital Signatures website. So what you want to do after creating a blank page, a blank PDF page, and you can see that you're able to do that in Adobe Acrobat Pro. You'll want to click on Tools and then click Edit PDF. And then click Add Text. And go ahead and enter your name just like you want to see it in the signature field. So we recommend Arial font and 28 point. This is the suggested font style and size. Other fonts would suffice as long as it's very clear and big enough so that you can see your signature very well. What you also want to do is you want to use the Crop Pages tool, because you want your signature to be the only thing that appears on that page, because otherwise it's going to be a teeny tiny signature, and you don't want that. So what you want to do is you want to use the Crop Pages tool, draw a square around it, the text with your mouse, double click the image, and you will see a tool saying set page boxes, and click OK. And then what you're going to want to see is just your name, just across that PDF, and then save it. So we recommend that you create a folder to put your images in, your PDF images in. I created one on my F drive called digital_signatures, but you can put it in your pictures folder or wherever you'd like so that you know where to find it. So the next thing you want to do is you want to create Adobe signature appearances. So that will be our next topic. So as I said, when you have the DocuSign tool, DocuSign created these appearances for you with the graphical signature tool that they provided, but now you have to create them yourself. Let me go back to the digitally signed image that I have here. And I'm going to go to Tools. You can see, just so you know, this is what you see if you have Adobe Acrobat Pro. And I wanted you to see that. Go to your Edit menu and pick Preferences. And make sure that you have signatures selected in categories, and go over to Creation and Appearance and pick More. So you can see that I have 3 DocuSign signatures in here. I'm going to take out the one for Jane Doe, because that was a test. But you can see I have 2. You don't want to use these. You want to create your own. But just so you know, you will see those. So this is the way you're going to be able to create your own appearance, and I will go over the instructions. So you want to have 2 appearances, and one is going to be for digitally signed and the other one for your signature. If you just have Adobe Reader, you can use the standard text or Adobe's default appearance, and we'll talk about that too. Okay, so creating your Adobe appearance. So you want to click the Edit menu and select Preferences. And then make sure Signatures is selected under Categories. And then click More next to Creation and Appearance. So the first thing you want to do is you want to click New. Now I'm showing that I have no appearances, but if you're a DocuSign user, you will see the ones from DocuSign. If you're a new digital signature user, you may have no appearances. So go ahead and click New, and then select your digitally signed image that we provide for you in your local folder. And then go ahead and click File. You want to name your appearance. I've named it digitally signed. Only check date underneath configure text. And then you want to click OK. And what's going to happen is you're going to see your digitally signed image show up in the window there. And you want to click OK. So now you can see what your digitally signed signature will look like. And this is what you will sign your professional seal with. It will have digitally signed and the date. Then click OK. And then that appearance shows up in your appearances area. So now you want to create a signature appearance for your signature image. So enter your name in the title, name your appearance. I just put my name. And then click File so you can get your image file, PDF image file. Just select date under Configure Text. Click OK. So once you browsed and selected your image, it shows up and you can see it. Then click OK again. And then you'll see this is the way your signature will look on your signature field with your name and date. So click OK. If you're able to create your signature appearances in Adobe, you would have 2 of them. One for signing your seal and one for your name. Okay, now I'd like to go over how to sign a PDF file. Yes, and so Jennifer asked, what is the difference in use for the one that says digitally signed and the one that says your name? So if you have a professional seal, like an engineering seal, for example, that you have to sign, you're placing in the middle of that seal, and Gary's going to show you how to do this, to sign it, and it will say digitally signed. And then if you're just signing your signature, not your seal, then you just use your name. So we have a question. Robert, you go ahead and unmute yourself and ask.
Yes. So I'm a little slow on computer stuff, and I don't know whether you're just showing us or we're trying to go along, but I know you lost me after about the 3rd step. And so my other question, I guess my question is going to be, with the user guides, will that be step by step so we can do this after the class? Is that the intent?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Robert. So that's why we create the user guide. And you can also contact the digital signature team, and we can help you personally, with a Teams meeting if you need that help, for creating signature images or appearances. So you can go to this user guide and you can see like what I just went over, like creating an Adobe appearances step by step. Okay.
Yes, I was also trying, I opened up your guide and was trying to
Yep.
track through, but again, so you're just giving a kind of an overview and going through, and it isn't
Absolutely.
really the intent for us to try to follow you. So I feel more
Right.
comfortable now. Okay,
Absolutely.
thank
You don't have to do this. This is a training class, but you don't have to be creating your images now and your appearances now. But during this class, we are just introducing what you do. And this is why we provide the user guide. So then you can take it back and on your own time, go ahead and create your images and your appearances. And if you have any difficulties or any issues, then you can contact the digital signature support team. Okay, Robert? And we will, and if needed, we can have a Teams meeting with you and walk you through.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm comfortable. Thank you.
good. You're welcome. So what I would like to do is show you how to assign a PDF file in Adobe. And that's going to be the next topic that we're going to discuss. So if you're a DocuSign user, this is going to be very similar to what you were doing when using DocuSign. So you'll have a signature field, and you will, in your file that you're going to sign, and then you're going to right click on it, that signature field, and click Sign Document. And then you will select ODOT sub CAV1. When signing in Adobe, you're just going to see one certificate, and then you just go ahead and select it. ODOT sub CAV1, click Continue, and then you will have the opportunity to select your appearance. So I'm selecting my signature because I'm just signing something, not my seal. I don't have a seal because I'm not an engineer. So I'm just going to sign a signature field. Now, if you just have Reader, you can use the standard text appearance that's provided by Adobe. But if you have Adobe Acrobat Pro, you can select your appearance and click Sign. And then you can see your signature will appear with your name and the date. Now, if you just have Adobe Reader, Adobe does provide a default appearance. We're not all that crazy about it because it does advertise for Adobe, but you can use that a default appearance if you just have Reader and then click Sign. Adobe always wants you to save the file after you sign. So if needed, you can rename the file. If you're a ProjectWise user, you probably don't want to do that because you want to just save it right back into ProjectWise. And Gary's going to go over signing in ProjectWise. But again, your name, which if you use the Adobe's default appearance, will be your last name first. So I want to go over how to validate a digital signature in Adobe. We have a group of people at ODOT that will validate signatures, making sure everything looks okay for engineering documents. And what they would do is go in and look at the signature, and they would click on it and select Validate Signature. And you can do this too. If you want to validate your signature, you make sure that it's valid, you right click on it and select validate signature. So when I do that, I can see Adobe will tell me signature is valid, and then I can look at signature properties and I can look at the signer certificate. So if everything looks good, we're going to have issued by ODOT sub CAV1. And you can see that in the certificate viewer, and everything looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demo how to sign a PDF file. So give me a moment as I open a test document. And here is a test document here, right here. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So you want to right click, sign document, select ODOT sub CAV1, click continue. I have my appearance right here, my PKI signature. Click sign. Adobe is going to force you to save. I don't have to change the name. I can just click save and it will say you want to replace the file, and I'll say, yes, I do. Then you can see your signature. Now, say you made a mistake and did the wrong appearance, you can right click and clear your signature and sign again. And here's where validation, if you are validating, you can see the signature is valid, signature properties, show signer certificate, and there's issued by ODOT sub CAV1. And that's how you would sign a PDF. So there are times where you want to create signature fields in Adobe. So I want to show how you do that. A lot of times you will be signing a document that already has signature fields, such as this document. This is a dynamic form. It's called the ODOT Project Charter. A lot of you are familiar with this form. And I believe ProjectWise users have seen this form. So this is a fillable form that already has signature fields in it, so you don't have to make them. But there are times you may have to create signature fields, and I'm going to show you how to do that in Adobe Reader and in Adobe Pro. Okay, and creating signature fields in Adobe is pretty easy. There are two ways to do it. You have a tool called Certificates in Adobe Acrobat Pro or Reader. So if you have to just create one signature field and then sign, you will just use Certificates. So you would go into Tools, open in your Adobe Pro or Reader. As you open those up, you can see your Certificates tool. Click on the icon that says Digitally Sign. Adobe will tell you that you're going to be clicking and dragging and creating your signature field. And then you will go right into the signing process where you will select ODOT sub CAV1 certificate and then select your appearance. And then you'll see your signature after clicking save, because Adobe always requires you to save the file. However, if you have to create more than one signature field, then you should be using Adobe Acrobat Pro and a tool called Prepare Form. So in Adobe Acrobat Pro, you will go into your Tools menu and choose Prepare Form. And then click Start. And then what happens is then Adobe maybe automatically placing fields in the file. I just delete these fields because for me, it's noise, and you often have that file already filled out and you really just want to place signature fields. I will demo this as well. So yeah, you would select those automatically placed fields and just delete them. So the next step is you're going to click on that little icon, which allows you to add a signature field, place that signature field where you want it to be in the form, and then you can add the person's name. I have a second one being placed as well. Add the other person's name. And then you will have two signature fields. If you want to add more information like a tooltip, you can do that if you right click and select properties. And it's just a real simple process for adding signature fields. I'm going to go ahead and demo that for you. So I have the form here. This is for adding multiple signature fields in Adobe Pro. So go to your Tools menu, select Prepare Form, click Start. Then you can see what happens. As I said, Adobe will sometimes add fields for you, and I just select them all and I get rid of them because I don't need them. I'm just adding signature fields. Select your Add a Digital Signature icon, and you can see you can grab the signature field. Now I can also grab the lower right corner, and I'm going to drag it over and make it bigger. And of course, if I want to change the name, I can. And there it is. I'm going to select the other one and make it the same size. And add my name. Give a tooltip if you want. What if you have to sign right now? You want to close this tool, and then Adobe takes you into the process. You're able to sign at this point, right? It will be ready for you. So I'm going to go ahead and sign. And now I'm going through the signing process, choosing O.sub CAV1, click Continue. I have my PKI signature appearance, and click Sign. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And there it is. Now, if you were actually wanting to just sign a document, and enter one signature field and use the certificates tool, I will show you how to do that as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and right here create a blank page. And then I'm going to save it. Okay, now I'm ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and select Tools, Certificates. Now this can be done in Adobe Pro or Reader. And now I'm going to add a signature field. You can see using your mouse, click and drag. I want my signature field right there. Takes me right into signing. Select ODOT sub CAV1, click continue. My appearance is selected, and then click sign. Save the document. And there's your signature. You can look at your signature panel. Signature is valid, and everything looks good. So now I'm going to turn it over to Gary so that he can talk about digitally sealing in Adobe.
Thank you, Diane. Digital sealing in Adobe. So most of the times people are signing stuff. You're provided a document, plan sheet or something similar. It's already got your seal inside of it, or it's got a signature field already in there. So you know where you're going to sign. But sometimes you just you've got something, calculation sheet, narrative, report, some final product that you actually have to seal. But the seal isn't already showing up inside the document, so you have to add that first. Assuming that that's correct, you probably do the same thing today. You already have a process where you take an image of that seal and you add that image into a PDF document. And that's not going to change moving forward. That's the same process tomorrow as it is today. Okay. So moving forward, when we're going in digitally signing, you've got two options. You can either place the signature field over the stamp in the area that you want the signature to sign up in, show up in, or you can go ahead and actually just go in and place a digital signature. If you have Adobe Reader, you don't have the option to place a signature field. You will just have to go in and place your signature. It does place a field at the time that it's signing, but it's not a separate action. So you will go over the document. You will ensure that you actually are using the right certificate, the right digital ID. Make sure that you are using the right appearance, and you will then sign the document. It will ask you to save the document because it's a PDF. And you typically don't have to rename it or do a save as. You typically can just say save. Okay, so let's walk through this. So I am using Adobe Acrobat Reader because that is what I have on my machine here on my desk. So this is a, pretend that this is some engineering document, and that's actually filled out with my credentials. But we're going to actually place a signature. So I will go ahead and I will come up here to Tools. I will come over here to Certificates, and I will click on Certificates. I will then come up here to the Certificates Tools, and I will click on Digitally Sign. It's going to tell me what I need to do right here. So if you don't remember, as long as you haven't checked off do not show this message again, it'll tell you every time what you need to do. So, but I need to go down here and pick a starting point and then drag a box across while holding the left mouse button down. And then I let go and it says, okay. And then it says sign. I'll say yes. And it's going to come up and it's going to ask me to save that file. Well, okay. So I got ahead of myself. First, it wants to know what certificate I want to use for signing it. You can see that I have 3 certificates here that's showing up. One being the ODOT sub CA, one being the ODOT signing CA, which is the DocuSign certificate. That's going to go away tonight. It should not be appearing tomorrow. And then the last one there is one that I created claiming that I'm Tracy Hoshett. And that was basically to show a consultant partner why they don't want to use self-signed certificates. Besides the fact that OSPO says thou shalt not use self-signed certificates. So I already have the correct certificates chosen. So now I clicked OK. I'm now on where it says select your appearance. I have a whole bunch of appearances as well. I'm actually going to just stick with the one we've got right now, which is the digital test signature. Okay, and I'm going to click sign. Now is when it's going to tell me, save it. And I'm going to say, okay, I really want to save this in class 10 because I don't want to have to recreate my files in order to do the next training tomorrow morning. So I'm going to save it here in class 10. As part of this process, it will go ahead and place that digital signature. Okay, you can see that this is a digital signature. It basically is showing up as such. I could go in and look at the properties in the certificate, but Diane's already done that. So I'm going to close out of that and close out of that. Okay. Next, we are going to go over, we're going to talk about creating signature images for Bluebeam. I actually like Bluebeam slightly better than, actually, I like Bluebeam better than I like Adobe. I'll have to admit it. One of the things that Bluebeam does that Adobe doesn't is Adobe basically wants a PDF. Bluebeam will take a PDF, but they'll actually allow you to make a image using Paint to just make a JPEG. It'll accept several other formats as well for that image file. So you'd open it up, you'd click your A to add text, you'd enter in your name. We suggest Arial font and 28 point for the font style and size. Other fonts such as Calibri will also work. We do like it to be clear. So once you have the name in there, you're going to want to crop the image so that it's basically the white space is just a little bit wider than your name is. And you'll see why here shortly. Okay, once you've done that, you will click File, Save As, and you'll save the file as a JPEG. Diane talked about this earlier. We make a location where we can save these image files. Diane calls hers digital signatures. I just call mine signatures. Mine is underneath my pictures folder. But wherever you want to do it, if you create that folder on your F drive as opposed to your C drive, then you'll have access to it when you're not on that particular machine. So, okay, so you can also create a digitally signed image in Paint. It's the same process as what we just walked through for the your signature. So, okay, so I'll close this and we'll bring up Paint. So this is an example of an image file that was created. You can see that the white space is just a little bit wider than the text. The PDF that we actually provide that says digitally signed that you can download and use inside of Acrobat can also be used inside of Bluebeam. So you can use a PDF here as well. It just doesn't require one. So, okay. So now that you've got an appearance, next step is to create the actual signature appearance. So inside of Bluebeam, you're going to click on Tools. You'll then click on Signature, and you will then click on Digital IDs. This will cause the Manage Digital IDs dialog box to pop up. It'll have a list of all of the certificates you actually have assigned to that particular machine you're working on. All of the personal certificates. You would then go ahead and select the certificate you want to create the appearance for or manage the appearance for. You'd actually click on Manage Appearances down here at the bottom. This will cause the appearance dialog box to appear, and you can actually use the plus, the gear, and the X to do your activities that you need to do inside of the appearance dialog box. The plus allows you to create a new appearance. So if you click the plus, you will then get a signature appearance dialog box. You'd actually name it. You select file. You turn off all of that extra information that we don't want toggled on. Labels and logo included. I really have a thing about free advertising for our vendors. You'd click on the three dots up there on the file line, and then you'd go find the file that you're going to use in your appearance for the digitally signed. So once you've actually selected the file, you then would click OK. You'd go back to your appearance dialog box. And if you also wanted to add an appearance that shows your name, you basically go back through again. You'd probably check, could be name, could be, your name written out, whatever you want that title to be. You're going to choose file. You're going to turn off the extra stuff. Click on the three buttons, go in there and choose that other file you created for your name. And then you will have the two appearances that you created. Okay. Click OK a couple times and that'll pop you back out into Bluebeam. You do not actually have to be in a PDF file. You can just have Bluebeam open. So to show this, Bluebeam, we're not in a file. I go to Tools. I go to Signature. I go to Digital IDs. You can see in my digital IDs, I actually have 6 certificates on this particular machine. Top 3 are all self-signed certificates. This is the DocuSign certificate. This certificate right here, which has a expiration date of 10/24 of 2023, is actually a certificate that IT uses for us to establish a trust relationship when we log in through the VPN portal. So when you're remotely connecting into ODOT, this is what it uses, that certificate. This certificate that actually has my email associated with it, this is the one that actually is for digitally signing. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that one selected, and I'm going to click Manage Appearance. Okay, so I've got name in here. I can select that. I can click on the gear here, which will actually allow me to modify it, but I'm not going to change anything, so I'll just click cancel. I could have actually selected the delete appearance to make it go away, but instead I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on the plus, and I'm going to type, we'll call this one digitally. It's going to be a file. I turn off all of the junk. including the advertising. I click the 3 buttons, and under my pictures, I have a signatures folder, and this is the JPEG that I showed people earlier. Okay, so I'm going to click open on that, and it comes in here into the preview. Looks like what I want, so I'm going to click OK. Okay, I'm going to come in here and make another one. I'm going to call this digitally with PDF. Okay, turn off file, junk. Three dots, digitally signed. Okay. Click OK. Okay. So you can see I've got name digitally and digitally with PDF. Okay, so I'm going to click OK here, and I'm going to click OK here. And I'm just going to close this for now. Okay, and we're going to close this module as well. Okay, getting into module 10. You've created an appearance, you've created an image, then you've created an appearance. Now you're ready to start signing. So, how are you going to digitally sign a PDF? Okay, if you are in the PDF in Bluebeam and you have a signature field and you hover over the top of the signature field with your mouse, if it's in a position where you can sign it, you're going to have a hand with a pencil. And you can just left click and place your signature. If you left click on a signature field, the sign dialog box will appear. You will ensure that you select that you have the correct digital ID, the correct digital certificate selected. If you're not sure, you can actually click view and you can go through the various digital certificates you have and view them to determine which one you want. We are looking for that ODOT sub CA. Once you have that selected and click OK, you'll end up coming down. You can actually make sure you have digital signature selected here. You can put in a reason here if you want. You come down to appearance and you select the appearance you want. At that point, you're going to click OK, and it's going to go and ask you to save that file because you're signing that PDF. So, and you typically don't need to rename it or tell it to save someplace else. I'm not going to rename it, but I am going to tell it to save someplace else because we have 2 more trainings and I don't want to have to recreate my files. So, signature date and time will appear on the signature field. That shows that you've actually then signed it. Once you have a signature, yours or somebody else's, you can actually right click on that signature. And if it's your signature, you could clear it. You can also validate it. But you can also have a properties, and from the properties, you can actually go in there and actually look at the certificate, or look at the signature, look at the who the signature is for, and what the certification path is. And that allows you to determine, is it a third-party certificate, and did the person that I expected to sign this sign this? So, okay. So let's go here. Okay. And don't think the things have stopped working. I'm just waiting for Bluebeam to open. Okay, so we have a document here. You can imagine this being some sort of narrative or some sort of report. And you have a signature field on that document. Okay. So it's not an actual PE seal or a PLS seal. So it's not a POR signature. It's just a regular old signature. So I'm going to come over and you can see that the image on of the cursor has changed to that of a hand with a pencil or a pen. So I'm going to left click. It takes me into the signing dialog box, sign dialog box. Here's where you actually would select certificates. I'm going to actually click view. You can see that this is the ODOT v1. It's also the one that's valid until the September 13th of this year, which is the one that I know is the right certificate for me to be signing with. So I'm going to click OK. I could choose a reason. I could choose the appearance that I want. But since it's not a POR signature, I'm just going to use my name. And I'm going to click OK. And class 10. And save. Okay, so that's got a digital signature in it. It says it's valid. It tells me who signed it. Just hovering over the top of it, I can right click. I get the clear signature, which, if I made a mistake, didn't use the right appearance or whatever, I can clear that. I can validate signatures, and then in the properties, I have the general tab, which shows, who the certificate was issued to, who issued it, and when the certificate is valid. And I can also go ahead and look at the certification path, which takes us back to the ODOT root cab one. So click OK, and I'm going to close this document. Okay. Creating signature fields in Bluebeam. I am a fan of signature fields. I use them all the time, even if I'm the only person that's signing a document. I like to place a signature field before I sign it because that allows me to ensure I get the signature field placed just like I want it. So you would click Tools, Form, Digital Signature, and then you can place your signature field quite similar to how you would place a signature field in Adobe. You just select typically you select the upper left or the bottom left or the upper right or the bottom right. Anyway, you drag out where that signature field's going to go. Okay. If I wanted to place a second signature field inside of the same document, I could go back up to form, I could go back down to digital signature, and I can go ahead and place another one. I could also pin that signature field creation tool up there. So I could just go click it and come down and place multiple times. But I can also right click on the signature field I already placed and copy it and place the copy down here into the other field in the form. So I'll show you that shortcut. Okay. Slowly opening. People are working hard, taking all the network bandwidth. Okay, tools, form, digital signature. That's what I want my signature field to look like. Okay, it looks good. Like I said, I could go back up here to tools, form, and do it all over again. Okay. Let's see. Lost my, but I can also right click on this and say copy, come down here, say paste, and then I can take and adjust the positioning of it so that you can have as many forms or as many fields in that form or on that document as you need. So let's just assume that this is it. And I'm going to actually go ahead and hit escape because right now I can't actually sign because I don't have the pencil in the hand. I got another tool which allows me to adjust those forms, the size and shape and, or the size, yeah. X, Y size, we'll say that. Okay. So now I've got the pencil, so I can actually sign. I'm going to sign this top one. Know that I'm using the right certificate because I'm just using it. Digital signatures, don't need to change that. I don't want the name though. I'm going to go to use the digitally. This is the one that was created with the JPEG. So I'm going to place that. And it says, where do you want to save it? Or it tells me to save it. And I'm going to say, well, I'll save it, but I want to save it over here in class 10. Okay, so it's thinking and it places signature. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to left click down here. And I'm going to, instead of placing the one that I created with the JPEG image, I'm going to go and use the one that I created with the PDF image. Okay. Going to ask me to save it. This time I don't have to move it, so I'll just click save. It says, hey, you want to go over right? I'll say yes. And digitally signed. You can see the one with the PDF had a slightly tighter cropping of the font. So there's not as much white space between the D and signed and the date and timestamp. So if you didn't like the way that turned out, you could go in to the image and you could change it. Okay. It's within your control. If you didn't like it and you wanted to change it, you could come down here, you could right click on it, you clear the signature, go in to Paint or wherever you're getting your image from, recreate the image and come back and recreate the appearance and reapply the appearance. Okay. So close out.
Gary Raymond has a question.
Sure.
Heck, why don't I see the form on my drop down under tools?
Are you registered?
Maybe not.
Okay. So in order to do anything with digital signatures inside Bluebeam, you'll have to be registered. And you should have the register. You should have the register. Let me open up Bluebeam again. Come on. I'll have to admit, when I'm getting going there, I tend to ignore those sorts of things. So if you're registered, all of these should be lit up. If you're not registered, which typically I ask that if you're not using Bluebeam, unregister it. And there's multiple reasons to do that. If IT comes and says, oh, it's time for Ray to have a new laptop or a new desktop, and they pick up your old computer and haul it away and give you a new one in place, the new one's not going to be registered. And the old one, which they already took back and wiped, is registered still, and there's no way to unregister it anymore because they wiped it. Or
Gotcha.
if you're working really hard and you're working so hard that your hard drive starts smoking, that's going to prevent us from unregistering that installation as well. And so if that's the case, what we ask is for you, when you're not actually doing work in Bluebeam, you own a register. And that way, if something does happen like that, we don't have that locked license. The only way for us to recover those locked licenses today is for us to go back to Bluebeam and say, okay, I've got this machine, the user lost his hard drive, or this machine, it was replaced by our IT, the user had not unregistered before IT picked it up. And it's a justification process, and it's, sending emails and waiting for a response. And so it can get 2, 3, 4 days, a week before we actually get licenses back.
Okay.
So,
Well, I did not register when you sent me that. And I
Okay.
did get a new laptop, and I've got the new laptop, and I just registered. So I think we're good to go. Thank you.
Okay. So, and when you unregister, all you have to do then is just click register again. Everything's already entered in. And unless that changes, you don't have to touch it. You just click register again, and it takes, a second or two, couple seconds.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. So, okay. So, digitally sealing with Bluebeam. Okay. So once again, you still have the, same discussion we had when we were talking about sealing in Adobe. Does the product already have the image of your stamp inside of it? If not, you might have to add it. There are tools inside of Bluebeam to add an image to your PDF. You can also use stamps. I like adding the image to the PDF, and that it's then part of that PDF. It's not a stamp, which is a PDF applied to your PDF, if that makes sense. So once you have the seal placed in there, then you can go ahead and sign across the seal. You click your tools. I'm going to show that we actually are going to forms, and we're going to go ahead and place that signature field by going to digital signature. You could just go down to signature and place a single signature across your stamp. But I kind of like the control. This one, for instance, inside the image here is probably just a little big. I would probably go ahead and shrink that down just a little bit so that the blue was not covering up any of the CAD lines or the numbers. But once you have, if you're placing a signature field, then you have the control of being able to adjust that field. Once you've got it as you want it, assuming you're the one that's actually signing this, you would then go ahead and actually you can hit escape. You click on the signature box, and you would then come down to your signing dialog. Make sure you got the right digital certificate selected, digital signature, reason if you want it, and select the appropriate appearance for what you're signing. So for a PE or a PLS, that would be digitally signed. Okay. Click OK. It's going to ask you to save. You typically don't have to rename the file. You typically don't have to save as. You don't have to tell it where to save it. You're just overwriting what it is you've got either on your F drive or gotten out on your C out of ProjectWise, wherever that is located. Once you've actually clicked save, then it will populate that digital signature, and you should see it, digitally signed with the date and time stamp. Okay, so let's go and look at this. Okay, so this should look quite similar. We'll just pretend again that this is a real engineering document with a real seal on it. Tools, form, digital signature. I'm gonna place my signature field. And let's just say I screw up and it's short. Okay. It's quite easy. You just come into your handles, just grab a handle and change it. Okay, that looks good to me. Maybe I got this a little off. I'll come back. Okay, now if I hit an escape, because you can see when I'm hovering over right now, I do not have that pencil in the hand or pen in the hand. But when I actually hit escape, then I do. So I can actually place the signature by left clicking. I select the appropriate digital ID, digital signature, reason if you want one, and we'll go to digitally. And then, so this is the one with the JPEG image, and I'll click OK. And it's going to say, hey, let's save this. And I'm going to say, but not there. So this is class 10. So I'll save it over there and click save. So you can see that this is digitally signed by me. It says the signature is valid. I could right click on that and go look at it. I can also go up here in the signature block and look at all the parameters around signing up there. Okay. Signing files in ProjectWise Explorer. And we wrote for CAD users. I'm going to ignore the for CAD users because it's really, if you're using ProjectWise Explorer, this is how you'd sign. We did have some questions yesterday. Well, what if you're not using Explorer? What if you're using the thin client, the ProjectWise Web? And the process is just a little bit different for that. So, but inside of Explorer, basically, when you're going ahead and selecting the tool you're going to assign, you have to choose what am I signing it with. If it's a PDF, is it going to be Adobe or is it going to be Bluebeam? If it's an Office document, you're going to pick the Office document that you're signing with. Make sure when you actually go ahead and select what you're going to sign with that you don't actually have the open document as read-only checked on, because if you open a document read-only, it will allow you to sign it, but it's only going to sign that local copy. It doesn't sync that file back to the server. So the person that asked you to sign it is going to check on it, and they're going to contact you and say, hey, are you going to sign that document? And you're going to open up and say, oh, I see a signature. And they can say, well, I don't. And really at that point, remember what we talked about here. Go, oh, I must open a read-only. Call ProjectWise or email ProjectWise administrator. They will help get those documents synced back up so that the file on the server will be updated with your signature in it. Okay, so the other thing you can do is when you're checking out a document, just make sure the check appears on that document before you sign it. Okay. Once you actually have the document checked out, then you're basically going to follow the same instructions that we already went through, whether you're signing in Adobe or Bluebeam. Or if you're signing in Office, you'll be following the process that Diane's going to be going through next. So let's go ahead and jump over to ProjectWise. Okay. This is Tent. Okay. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to say open with. And I could actually choose reader if I wanted to, but I'm a fan of of Bluebeam, so I'm going to actually select Bluebeam. The IRX Omni sign should be going away after tonight, so that should no longer appear in the list because it won't be on your machines. Once you've selected what you're going to open it with, make sure that this it hasn't reverted to being checked on. We want to make sure that it's not open read only. Click OK. Document should actually have a check mark show up next to it, so it is checked out. Okay, so not read only. Document will open up, and it's our friend again. So I'm going to go into Tools. I'm going to go, well, I'll play it dangerous today. I'll just click Sign Document. And it will sign with the PDF. Click OK. And I'm going to click Save. I'm going to say yes, because all I'm doing is overwriting the copy in the working file. So now the copy in the working file has been updated. It has a digital signature in it. So I'm done. I'm going to close that. Now, ProjectWise is going to say, hey, what do you want me to do? If I free this, I haven't signed anything. So I'm going to check it back in. That updates the server copy and maintains the copy on your hard drive. Okay. And back to you.
Thank you, Gary. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to sign in Microsoft Office files, and sometimes you will be doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and share how you can do that. You can create an image for Microsoft Office using Paint. So open your Paint desktop, click the icon to create your text, enter your full name, and then highlight the text. Choose Arial font and 28 point, which we suggest is a good font style and size. Then make sure your text is on one line and crop the image to the size of the text. Save as a JPEG in your local folder where you keep your images. So mine looks like that. JPEG. So now I'm going to go over how to sign Microsoft Office files. So if you have a Microsoft Office file that you need to sign, you'll want to add a signature field by going to the Insert menu and selecting Signature Line. And you must select Microsoft Office Signature Line. So you can see we still have DocuSign in here, but that's going away. So you will just have Microsoft Office Signature Line when DocuSign goes away. So you'll make sure you place your cursor where you want your signature field to be located and enter your information in a signature setting. Signature setup, I'm putting signer 1. You can enter other information if you need to. Place your cursor where you want it to be, where the second signature to be located, and then enter your signature setup. That's right. Office actually doesn't, and Jennifer's asking, so Adobe requires a PDF-based signature image. That is correct. And Office doesn't even require an image file. You can even just sign by entering your name, and I'm going to demonstrate that. And that's true. Bluebeam is happy with either. Bluebeam, you can have a PDF image file as well as a JPEG. And that is true. Mike, you can sign other Office products like Excel or PowerPoint as well. And yes, Office is flexible. And yes, and so is Bluebeam. Adobe is not as flexible. Adobe just wants a PDF image file. Oh, and Gary's saying not PowerPoint. I thought you could sign PowerPoint, and I'm really, I've never heard of anybody signing PowerPoint. It's more Office. In Office, it's more Word and Excel files. So probably not PowerPoint in this case. So I am placing multiple signature fields, as you can see. And Gary will check that out. I have not heard of PowerPoint as something that you sign typically. But yeah, and Mike, you can check back with us later. Check with Gary. He can check it out. I'm not sure about PowerPoint, and we can verify. Okay. So you can see what happens when you get a Microsoft signature field, that you get a big line with an X. So make sure you place that signature field appropriately on your document. You can also right click on the field and select signature setup and put more information in there. With Microsoft Excel, though, you have to select a cell to place your signature field. So going to the Insert menu and select Signature Line, and then adding your suggested signer information. Click OK. I placed in this image file screenshot here, you can see that I placed two signature fields in a cell in the spreadsheet. So how do we sign with Microsoft Office? So what you want to do is place your signature field, and then Microsoft Office will say, hey, you can enter your signature, or you can select an image and place an image of your signature. And you want to, if you're signing engineering document, you want to make sure that you're issued by ODOT sub CA, and you see your certificate. If not, then you click change, the change button. And then Microsoft will show your available certificates. Choose ODOT sub CA, click OK, and sign. And you can see I had to click more choices to see the additional certificates. So verify that your name and date appear on the signature line. So you can also sign with an image of your signature by selecting your signature field and clicking sign, and then select your image from your local drive. Make sure ODOT sub CAV1 is showing issued by. Select your image, and then you'll be able to see your image. Click sign. And then verify that your name and date appear on the signature line. If you need to validate your signature field in Microsoft Office, then you want to right-click on the signature field and click Signature Details. And Microsoft is going to show valid signature. And you can see that it's issued by ODOT sub CA B1. You can also view the certificate. So let me do a demo and show you specifically how this is done. Okay, you can see I have a Word document. I have a signature field in there. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to add the signature field. So go to your Insert menu, select underneath signature line, Microsoft Office signature line. Put your signer's name in there. Now you have your signature field. Right click and select sign. Now you can immediately just enter your name. And you know what? It's okay. Microsoft Office will take this as your signature, and it's fast and easy. You can see that I have issued by O.sub.ca v1, but if I didn't, I would click change and more choices. So in this case, you can see all the different certificates I have here, and you can see that DocuSign is in there, O.signingCA, and that's going to be going away. Microsoft is showing 2 certificates for O.sub.ca v1. You can choose either one to sign with. In this case, I'm going to choose the second one here and click OK. And then I'm going to click sign. My signature is saved. So now if I want to check it out, I can even remove my signature and do it again if I made a mistake. But if I want to validate, I can right click, look at the signature details, and you can see I have a valid signature. If I want to view the certificate, it's signed and issued by O.sub.ca v1. So this is a signed Microsoft Office file. And if you do that, you do not want to make this a PDF. If I made this a PDF file after signing it, it would invalidate the signature. So if you always want to have PDFs signed, then go ahead and fill out your Microsoft Word form if that's what you have, fill it out and then make it a PDF and then add your signature fields. But you don't want to change a signed Microsoft Word file into a PDF. That would just invalidate the signatures, as I said. And the same with Excel, which I will demonstrate next. So we have an Excel file here. It's already signed. So I'm going to make a new one. And save it. Okay, there it is. This is a test file. I'm going to choose the cell that I want my signature field to be in. Click Insert and Signature Line, Microsoft Office Signature Line. And I can put more than one in there. And now I will sign it. I'll select my image this time. My image shows up. I already have issued by O.sub.ca v1. Sign it. And then Microsoft tells me it's successfully signed. And so this file is ready for the next signature. Okay, and now we are at the end of our class. So we're taking any additional questions that you have. So go ahead and ask your questions. That's true, Mike. Mike is asking, so when the first signature is inserted in the document, it is no longer to be modified.
It can no longer be modified.
Right.
And modifications include adding additional digital signature fields. So if you have
right.
multiple signature fields, place all of them before you place the first signature line.
And Robert has his hands up. Go ahead, Robert.
Yes. So one takeaway that I notice is with DocuSigns, I recall, you sign and you can see your signature before you save the document. So it seems like with Bluebeam or Acrobat Pro that, or even with the Word products that you actually have to save and then you see your signature. Did I get that takeaway correct?
Yeah, Robert, I'll have to say it's been so long since I've signed something in DocuSign, I don't remember the actual process. I do know you have to save the PDF in order for that signature to be actually, for it to be actually signed.
And that's an Adobe thing though, right?
Yeah, that's a PDF thing. So I could go ahead and validate that, but I'm not sure it matters. Moving forward, you will be saving as you're actually signing. I think with DocuSign you did as well. But you know, it has been a long time since I've actually signed.
Yeah, I think I remember that you had to save as well when you were using the DocuSign product, prepare and sign.
Do you want me to show you what I discovered on the PowerPoint? Not that I could ever think of any reason why we would want to seal a PowerPoint.
No, that was just me poking it. You know, how versatile is it? I don't envision doing it either. So if it comes up, I'm sure somebody can get to you. If somebody else wants it, I don't need it though. I'm the one that asks. So
if it comes up, let Diana or I know. That digital signature help, that's where you ask that type of stuff.
Well, to that previous question around,
Okay.
what appears and what doesn't when you're signing in our soon to demise application, you place your signature, you can see it, and then you save. And so I'm curious too. It looks that was a good point, and I wasn't catching it if we were going through it. It looks like you place it and then save before you get to see what it looks like. Is that right?
I think it was the same way. I would have to go back and actually validate it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I remember you actually you're signing it, and then it says, okay, what do you want me to save as? And we
Okay.
just tell people to just click OK because you're really overriding what you already had. You don't have to go through the gyrations that Diana and I did today. It's much faster. You basically say place the signature, and then you say yes, save it. You're overwriting the old file.
All right. Thanks.
So Steve has a question, and then Oren has a question in the chat. How do I get set up computer support? Steve, what are we getting set up for? Are we talking about the digital signature, or are we talking about Adobe or Bluebeam?
So I don't have Bluebeam or Pro.
Okay. So what sort of documents do you sign? Do you sign documents where you where you are signing an existing signature field, or do you need to be able to place signature fields?
Probably place.
Okay, in order to place signature fields, you're going to have Adobe or Bluebeam.
Okay.
And we've got some Bluebeam licenses, thanks to Mike. So if you want Bluebeam, send me an email. If you
Okay.
want Adobe Acrobat Pro, then you work through computer support.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And if you find that you don't have the ODOT sub CA certificate, let Diane know or I know. You can actually just send an email to that ODOT digital signature support and we'll get back to you.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Warren, is it possible to have Adobe Pro and get Bluebeam installed? Warren, that's asking for a lot. Typically, if you have Bluebeam Review Extreme, we actually have you use Adobe Reader. I'm sure that we could grant you an exception if you had a special case and you need to have both. But typically, we'd have you have either Pro or Bluebeam. And if you had Bluebeam, we'd expect you would also have Reader.
So we have some more, a hand up.
Somebody has
Somebody
a hand
else?
up. Yep.
Yeah, so I had a question. One of the last things you were talking about was placing fields, and you need to place all your fields first. My group has a QC process where at each milestone, we have to sign off on QC checklists.
Yep.
And so I think those would be using the signature thing. And then at the very end, our final submittal includes a signed and sealed calc book, and we're supposed to put the QC form in it. But of course, the PDF of the calc book doesn't exist at each of the milestones. So is a print to PDF of the QC sheet with the signature that's just your name sufficient? Because the signed and sealed is really the important thing, and the signature thing is kind of just an internal process, not a legal signature.
That's really going to be dependent on the group that owns that oversees that. When
Okay.
you go ahead and create that image of the PDF, it's going to take all of those signatures you placed during the QC process and it'll change them into a pretty picture. So
Okay.
they'll no longer be a digital signature.
But the pretty picture will remain.
Yes.
Okay.
Another possibility, if you wanted to work within Adobe, is we could have you create a portfolio and then place the QC document into the portfolio and place the calc book into the portfolio. And that way, both of them would actually remain digitally signed in its original form.
Okay. Sounds like something to talk to my crew about and see what the managers want.
Yep.
Thanks.
And if you need me to come and talk about options or Diane to talk about options, just let us know.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any
more
additional questions?
No more hands up?
Thank you all for attending.
Thank you,
can
everyone.
escape.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Welcome.